Hello, my name is Dr. Alan. I'm a GP. So if you've been unwell or worried about your health, the short conversation with your health professional will have felt very important to you. As a GP, I want to help you to understand more about the consultation, to help you to prepare and get the most out of it. So I'll take you through describing the story of your illness, the examination, the investigations, and the discussion. So first of all, the story of the illness. To diagnose conditions is something far more important than the stethoscope and the tests that we order. Most important is hearing the story of your illness and how it's unfolded. This conversation can help us to move from a million conditions down to potentially one or two. In one consultation, there may only be time to manage one medical condition. However, one condition could give symptoms that might seem disconnected. For example, sweating, heart palpitations, anxiety could all be down to thyroid problems. So a helpful way to start would be to briefly list all the new symptoms that you've developed. Together we can decide what's manageable to focus on, but avoid waiting till the end to mention something new, and writing it down may help you. Next, in order of what started first, give a little detail about each symptom. This may lead to a 1 to 3 minute story through your illness. For example, with pain, describe when you first noticed it, where it is, what it feels like, and how it changes over time. We'll ask you some questions to clarify and maybe ask some other symptoms. We need to consider how likely you are to get different conditions. This may be affected by medical problems that you or your family have, or medications that you take, habits like alcohol or smoking, your job and your mental health. We can conclude so much from a good conversation. This is one reason why we can manage quite a lot over the phone. So, list all your symptoms, then tell the story of your illness in order. The next helpful stage for us to think about is for us to understand your thinking about your symptoms. We may ask you strange questions like, what do you think is wrong? Or what would you like me to do? We're not asking to get ideas. Rather, if you notice a change in your body, most people start to wonder what's going on. It helps the GP or health professional to know what possibilities have been running through your mind. Only when we know your concerns are we able to ensure that we address those for you within the consultation. So, when you request a consultation, there's usually a reason, something that you want, perhaps a chest listening to, a diagnosis or reassurance, or you want a scan, a medication or a sick note, but we don't know which. The consultation goes far better if you can tell us ideally what you're wanting. It changes the questions that we may ask you. We may be able to give you what you want, but if we can't give you what you want, we need to explain to you clearly why not. So if you've got ideas about a possible diagnosis, then tell us. Consider why you made the appointment and tell us. Knowing your concerns and your expectations helps us to give you a satisfying consultation. So hopefully now you understand why we ask these questions. So examination plays a smaller role than many patients think, but at times it is essential. So the body language and the eye contact builds trust and improves communication. There are also clues to the diagnosis in the way that people move or their facial expressions. Examination is often helpful to work out how unwell somebody is. Much of this is simply done by seeing a patient come into the room. Some measurements give further information like the heart rate, the breathing rate or the temperature. The stethoscope, which is that distinctive tool of the doctor, rarely actually changes my plan. For example, sometimes parents come in as they want their child's chest listening to. I can tell you with around 90% certainty in the first 15 seconds if they may need antibiotics or admission to hospital. The story of the illness helps, their appearance, the heart rate and the breathing rate is also very key. And it's very rare that listening to the chest will actually change my plan. We've worked differently in the last few years. Often we start by getting information over the phone. Many people are managed quickly and safely and conveniently this way, but we may also bring in people when they're needed. With general practice under enormous strain, we have the challenges of balancing the number of appointments with the efficiency of how we deliver appointments and the preferences of our patients as well. Face-to-face working really does have its benefits, and we'll continue to do our best to get that balance right. So blood tests and scans. Many people think that while the discussion is useful, it's really the tests that prove the diagnosis. However, it's actually more the other way around. For example, a friend tells you every morning after drinking a bottle of wine that he wakes up with a headache. Would you think a scan would be needed? The truth is we all use symptoms to diagnose simple conditions in life. Similarly, most people using examination could diagnose spots in a teenager or a man who develops baldness. The idea of wanting a test to confirm this would seem bizarre. GPs have got this kind of familiarity with patterns of symptoms in thousands of conditions, so they can often be certain without a test. Sometimes when the discussion and examination alone isn't enough, then we do use tests. Sadly, tests don't usually tell us if you have a condition or not. They only tell us if it's more or less likely. So if a woman had every symptom of a urinary tract infection, I'd rarely need a test to help me to diagnose that. However, if she only had one symptom, the urine test would give us more information and would help. But no single symptom or test alone is reliable. They all work together to change the probability. So if you had no symptoms of a urinary tract infection, then the test would be useless. Because most tests are imperfect, unnecessary testing can give misleading results. So tests should only be organised when the results of the test are going to make a difference to what happens next. So be open to the idea that we can diagnose some conditions without tests. Sometimes tests do have an important role. However, it's not the test that diagnoses you, but somebody who can put all that information together. So finally, making decisions. Have you ever been confused by a doctor asking your opinion about what should be done? And thinking, I don't know, you're the doctor's expert, so surely you know. Surely you know best. The thing is, there's usually a variety of possible plans. Our expertise is knowing how different plans may play out. However, you're the expert in what matters to you. So we need something called shared decision making. Shared decision making is not a doctor giving you the options and just asking you to choose. Instead, we describe the pros and the cons, or the risks and the benefits to the various options. Based on what matters to you, together we can form a plan that's right for you. So imagine Tony, a 56-year-old with knee pain caused by severe arthritis. Possible good options may include self-help, physiotherapy, tablet or gel painkillers, weight loss support, changing jobs, or an operation. I can't decide without knowing what matters to Tony, and Tony can't decide without knowing more about each of the options, so we decide together. Let's also imagine Betty. She's a 92-year-old, she becomes unwell, and the antibiotics are not helping. In the past, we may have simply said, you need to go to hospital. The problem with this is there is no single right answer. It all depends on what matters to Betty. So instead I discuss the risks and the benefits to being in hospital and the risks and the benefits of staying at home. And if Betty's able to make decisions for herself, she can decide if it's more of a priority for her to be at home or to have the more specialist treatments in hospital. There are 4 questions that may be helpful when offered a test, a procedure or a treatment. What are the benefits? What are the risks? What are the alternatives? And what happens if I do nothing? So we've moved from doing things to or for you to doing things with you. We have years of training to help make the best of our short consultations. So hopefully with this guidance, together we can do this a bit better. I hope it's been helpful. Thanks.